Maximus says, "Hi, Pat. I'm doing my first podcast this coming week and wanted to know what your thoughts are for the promotion of a podcast and growing relationships with other listeners and podcasters. Grateful for you." So first of all, congratulations on the upcoming podcast. I think that's a great thing to do in this moment in time. A lot of people are listening to podcasts these days, so I think it's a very smart thing to do, absolutely. In terms of growth of your podcast, number one, I'm hoping that when you launch with more than one episode. You don't want to be that guy who promotes his gig where he's going to play guitar and he promotes it, he gets everybody in the room and he just plays one song and then leaves. You don't want to be that guy. So what you want to do is you want to have a set. And it's really important to do that because the more numbers you get early on, the higher and the quicker that you will rank, and the more people that you can have see and hear your call to actions, the more just branded your show will be across those 3 episodes. So I would launch with 3 episodes to begin with. And yes, 3 on one day. And just make a big deal out of it. Treat it like an event. That's going to really help you right at the start, right? In addition, the growth of your podcast can definitely be accelerated by having you be a guest on other people's shows. Seth Godin recently said that podcasting is the new blogging. And if podcasting is the new blogging, then Pat Flynn says, well, guest podcasting is the new guest blogging. And guest blogging has always been a tried and true method for growing your brand. But it's even easier on a podcast because, number one, you just talk it out. You don't have to have the guest sort of write something and then you have to edit it. And that oftentimes, like if a person asks me to do a guest post, I'm not going to do it because it just takes so much time to write. However, if you want me to be on your show, I'm more likely to do that. Now, I do get dozens of requests every single day, so just please know that. Now, the other great thing about this is when you have a conversation with somebody for, 20, 30, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, depending on the length of your show, well, you can't help but build a relationship with that person. And if you happen to maybe have them as a guest on your show first, you're building that relationship, and then you could potentially get to become a guest on their show. Starting with other people who already have podcasts is great because they already have a podcast. And imagine, let me give you this juxtaposition, these 2 kinds of situations. Imagine the excitement that a person has to subscribe your show if they go through this situation. They see an ad on Facebook for your show. Whoa, that's not what they were there for to begin with. Then they have to click on that button to go to a landing page. And then they have to still be convinced by the copy on that page to go and then click to open up an app, to then go to your page, to then hit play and then listen for a few minutes. Again, they weren't there to begin with, and be convinced to subscribe to your show. That experience has a lot of friction. And that's why ads directly to your podcast don't often work very well unless you have like a celebrity on your show. And that's why people want to stick around and listen. Versus, imagine you're on a podcast as a guest. People who are listening not only are already open with a podcast app, they can find your show and just subscribe easily from there, but you're also getting endorsed by somebody who they trust already. So it's just so much easier to be a guest on another person's show and get new listeners. And that's where I would like, if I could just choose one method, I would focus on that. The biggest thing you have to worry about, though, when it comes to that strategy of guest podcasting is you really have to understand and come from a place of, well, what can I offer to this person as a podcast host and an audience? You never want to approach somebody and ask to be on their show by just asking to be on their show. It's never going to work out. And you're going to have people going like, bruh. That's not, no, why? Like, that's such a self-serving way of trying to be on another person's show and to help yourself. Let's not do it that way. Let's see what superpowers we have that we can then provide to fill out that person's archive, to help them save time, to help them talk about a topic that maybe they don't discuss in depth like you might be able to. So when you can come from a place of service, and you could potentially get recommended to be on a person's show by a friend or a colleague or somebody who's been on that show before, well, it's going to work out so much better. So that's where I would stick with most of your energy right up front. A lot of the repurposing that's done in podcasting often will take more time and doesn't get results because, when you think about it, when you repurpose shows and pop them on social media, who's seeing them? Probably people who have already heard that you have a podcast versus a lot of new, earballs, a lot of new ears coming and listening to your show.